Welcome to No Prize Podcast. I'm the professor, and that is Lucas. What is going on, Lucas?
What's going on? What's going on? Happy Easter and Pascua and Passover to everybody, and Eid Ramadan, Eid Fitr to everybody. Man, it's an interesting month, interesting week, but we're still here holding on.
Yeah. The holidays don't usually coincide like this every year, but this year, we got Ramadan, Passover, and Easter. So happy holiday, whatever denomination you are. So
Or not, whatever.
or not. Yeah.
Look, look. All I know is, man, any opportunity I get to eat more candy and eat more bad stuff for me, that's all I care about, really.
I always look at it as just an excuse to see the family that I don't normally see. And, that's actually kind of gone down the wayside after the pandemic, and Easter's just never really recovered from it. We've all kind of do our own things now. So,
Yeah.
so it is what it is. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Marvel and everything associated with Marvel. Coming out late last week, or early last week, did you see the Disney shakeup there? Ike Perlmutter gone.
Yes. So look, unfortunately, John is not here because so it's interesting, right? Isaac Perlmutter was one of those characters, right, where
Mm-hmm.
he both saved and kind of wrecked Disney, Marvel at the same time, right? He's responsible for the guy that said, "Hey, you can't spend that money on it. Why are you guys spending money on it at the same time as, um, you know what? This would be a great opportunity." He is. People are saying that he's the guy that was responsible for the whole Inhumans X-Men debacle, right? They put it fairly on his shoulders. They're saying that he was responsible for the way that we can't get certain characters now, and it's going so slowly right now. And between him and Victoria Alfonso, they kind of held on very highly to the purse strings, and it kind of frustrated a lot of people, to include Kevin Feige. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it was such a turmoil in between those two. I'm talking about Paul Mutter and Feige, that apparently Isaac tried to get Feige fired, right? And he just never let it go. Even though they were winning, he just never let it go. So now it's kind of funny that Pearl Mutter is freaking gone, and Fahey still remains. Um, so we'll see how it goes right now. Like, where are some of the problems that we're seeing with Marvel Disney, such as they've got all these projects, but they're not spending the right amount of money on certain things. Is that a result of this inner turmoil, or is it just too many cooks, right? Too many cooks in the kitchen, and everybody's wants their whole thing. So I'm interested to see how this is going to go far, so, going forward.
Well, I think the biggest news really kind of coming out of that whole I don't know if you want to call it realignment, but they folding Marvel into Disney, or officially, like everything. Usually,
Yes.
because Marvel Entertainment was part of Disney, but the comics section was still pretty self sustaining. And now they're taking the comic division, folding it into Disney, and I do think that that's going to mean some changes. Whether or not it's payroll being shrunk in a lot of those. I know we were I think we were talking about Women of Marvel in the last podcast, and I went through all the different divisions and all the different titles. I think
Yeah.
we might see a lot of those people just getting cut, because what are they doing really? But we'll see what happens. but I think that this could be, could mean some layoffs for some of the people here at Marvel. Hopefully not on the creative side of things, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, you also got to consider like all the people that they've lost, right? They've lost um, so many really great creatives who eventually went over to DC, and now DC is actually a rising ship as Marvel is a sinking ship. And this was a great time for them to say, well, we're sinking, therefore you're the problem, so therefore you got to go. That's where we're at. But that may not be the problem. It may be just a fudge wow where everybody's kind of tired of superhero stuff right now, right? We're kind of superheroed out, where we don't have enough time like we used to during the pandemic. And there's too much other stuff to occupy everybody's time right now. So that may be it. Now, when it comes to the money, I've actually looked at the money. The money is as strong as ever, but that's not necessarily because they're selling more. It's because the prices rose on some of those covers. So I don't I don't know where to go with this one. Where like, okay, go ahead, Marvel, you do you. See how much longer it lasts you. You know what I mean?
I think it's more of a continuing pivot from the importance of the comic side of things to just a flat out, uh, you know, entertainment, TV, Disney Plus movies side, where I kind of feel like that maybe they feel like they've run their run out of ideas over there, or what they want to kind of mine from the comics, and now they want to do their own thing. So I mean, we'll see what happens over there. Um, but let's move into a couple of episodes that we have to talk about for Mandalorian. You're all caught up on Mandalorian, I imagine.
I imagine that I'm not. Did a new one come out this week?
Yes,
Okay, then I'm not
yes.
caught up. But I am I'm versed enough to know what I don't like and what I don't like about the series going so far. It's I don't like this whole direction that they were going. No, like, hey, we're gonna fight this whole war as Mandalorians after we just got ourselves wiped off the map. Like, no, that's not and you just got a whole bunch of kids. Half your soldiers are kids. You don't freaking decide to unilaterally go with the war. But that's just me. I don't know.
Well, I see this whole season as a world building season. Not there's an overall arcing storyline, but what we've seen out of the I believe 6 episodes that we've gotten so far this season is almost like that overall rebuilding the Mandalorians to their home, and then building the Mandalorians up into this force that they're going to retake Mandalore. That's the big overall quest of this season, with the dark saber and Bo-Katan. But then every episode has been from a different perspective of a different side. We've had the pirates, we've had the
Mm.
rebels, we've had the New Republic, we've had the Empire, we've had we've had Grief Karga's the magistrate. So we've had a different viewpoints, I think, on every season. So we have a different ways of seeing things, and how people see the New Republic. Or is it just another empire? Or are they going to be coming, more to do that? The biggest revelation in episode 5, and you probably, I don't know if you've seen episode 5, would be like, now we know Moff Gideon is not dead or
Yeah,
not
right.
in
Yeah,
prison,
yeah,
right?
right.
So we know he escaped. And of course, that's probably the big end of season reveal, right? But the last episode, and this is one of my big gripes, is when they do stunt casting. So when you see someone and it instantly takes you out of the episode. And in this latest episode 6, was with Mandalorian and Bo-Katan um, go to this planet, and the it's Jack Black and Lizzo as the king and queen of the planet. And it instantly took me out of the episode, because I was like, it's Jack Black. And then the bad guy was Christopher Lloyd, and I was like, where's all this stuff
What?
casting? Yeah, I was like, what's going on here? So I don't like it when I see characters that I can easily recognize, or like big A-listers that come in and uh, not that I'd call Jack Black an A-lister, but I mean he's very recognizable.
Mm.
Um, but the other thing they did, because this whole plot line on episode 6 was a droid uprising, and one of the first shots of droids when they went in was what I thought was BT1 and 000 from Dr. Aphra, because they had a wide shot and then they panned in. So when we saw the wide shot, I saw the C3PO and R2D2, and then they were black, and I was like, it's 000 and BT1 from Dr. Aphra. We're gonna get Dr. Aphra in this episode. But then by the time they finished zooming in, I realized it was a regular astromech, not an R5 unit, and then it was not a C3PO unit. It was a Death Star droid, and I was like, they swerved me. So I was kind of excited to see that, but who knows? Maybe we get another character or another reveal. There hasn't been a lot of you know holy shit moments, I guess, not like last season. So
Mm.
we'll see. But it is world building, so I'm not hating it because of that, because we're getting different aspects of a plot. So, but they do only have 2 episodes left for the
Oof.
season. I'm like, what are they gonna do? So
Yeah, the only thing I really don't like is how they're using the pirates, right? Because pirates don't do land-based invasions, right? Pirates attack ships through trade routes, so they're missing the ability to do that, right? They should have just like, oh, we have a gripe against this planet. We're just gonna do a whole embargo of your freaking planet to freaking starve off the planet. That would have been a little bit freaking better than, oh, we're gonna go into your freaking planet and freaking attack you and not talk because not no, that's not how they really work and everything. So they missed an opportunity.
yeah, I think they did. The other thing going on now, going on right now as we speak, actually, is the Star Wars celebration going on over in England. Um, and we had some big news coming out of there yesterday. It was all the reveals of all the projects they're working on. And we've actually seen some progress on a couple of the projects coming out with Disney Plus. In August, we have Ahsoka, and we saw the first trailer for Ahsoka.
Mm.
We've seen some reveals for Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte, um, and
Yeah.
I imagine you saw the Ahsoka trailer. What did you think?
I have not seen the Ashoka trailer.
Oh,
Everybody,
you're not.
so I am in 2023. I am doing trailer sucker trailer free. All right, because because it's getting these trailers are getting too bad. It used to be, you would have 25 seconds of what the movie was about, and boom, just enough, just a little bit of taste, just to get the vibe. Now you're getting half the plot in the doggone thing, and then you get to arrive to the movie or the TV series. You're like, oh, well, I know these guys survived because in the freaking trailer, it basically told me. I don't understand who these trailers are for anymore. Maybe they're for people with. I think they're literally for people with ADHD because a lot of people with ADHD will not watch something unless they know how something already ends. So I think that's what they tell their trailers for because like, oh, even if you don't have ADHD, you're probably going to see it anyway. And if you do have ADHD, we want to make sure that you're included, and that you don't have any anxiety about what you're watching. I think that's what. But for me, I want to be totally surprised and shocked.
Hmm.
All right, I want to. Otherwise, why go to the movie theater? Why spend the money on Disney Plus? All right, surprise and shock me. You know, that's that. In fact, what was the movie that I just watched? Dungeons and Dragons at D&D. That was
Oh,
shocking.
it was.
It was
How was it?
shocking. It was
I'm
absolutely
supposed to go see
fantastic.
that this weekend. Oh, it was
Absolutely
good.
fantastic. Fantastic.
Okay. All right. All right.
Worth
How
the
was?
price of admission.
All right then.
I will
Maybe I'll go
not
see it.
spoil anything for you. The experience was amazing.
I think I'll go see it this afternoon with my son. He wants to see it.
Oh yeah, good. I
So
don't. I haven't watched Mario Brothers yet, but I guarantee you it'll probably be better than Mario Brothers. But there it is. So yeah, so I don't know. I don't think any of these, or know if any of these are new. Dawn of the Jedi, Old Republic, High Republic, Fall of the Jedi, Reign of the Empire, Age of Rebellion. Then you go into your New Republic, first Rise of the First Order, Jedi Order. They've either got comic book series that are attached to these, or a
Oh,
TV series attached to these,
well,
or movies.
I can explain this all to you right now.
Mm,
So they announced yesterday that Daisy Ridley is returning as Rey Skywalker in the New Jedi Order, which is a movie releasing in December of 2024. So that's the return of Star Wars to theaters. There's also another project going forward called Dawn of the Jedi, which is the birth of the Jedi, which is a new movie going to be directed by Mangold,
mm,
and then
yes.
um, the third project is The Mandalorian is making the jump from season 3 of The Mandalorian to the big screen, which is going to be directed by Dave Filoni and supposedly wrapping up the Disney Plus shows Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka all in that movie. No release date planned for that, but those are the 3 movies that were announced yesterday at Star Wars Celebration. Um, along with the shows, we have Ahsoka coming in August of this year, and then Skeleton Crew and Acolyte. And I think there's one show I'm missing, but yeah, the rest of those are in various stages of production. So
Nice.
yeah, so the timeline that they're showing there is a 25,000 year timeline. So Dawn of the Jedi is happening 25,000 years before New Jedi Order.
Mm,
So that's the explanation of the timeline for you there.
right. Now, I do know there was a little bit of news regarding Thrawn and him being added to one of the animated series at some point, which is what a lot of people want. They wanted Thrawn, Thrawn, Thrawn. They want more Thrawn.
He's actually in the Ahsoka trailer.
Mm,
So he's going to be in the Ahsoka show, as well as we see our first live action appearances of Sabin Wren and Hera Syndulla are both in the trailer for Ahsoka. So if you like Rebels, now you have to kind of rewatch that before Ahsoka comes out in a couple of months, because characters like people like me that haven't seen Rebels, I need to catch up so that I can
yeah.
see all the characters.
What did you think of this news? Daisy Ridley, who will play a Jedi Master running a new Jedi Academy, in a film set 15 years after the sequel trilogy, directed by Charmin Obaid-Chinoy.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess she's reprising her role as Rey, but she's running an academy.
Yep, that's the new Jedi Order movie that's coming out. That's um, I'm I'm all for it. I mean, I like Daisy Ridley. Um, it is kind of I think it's kind of accepting that the Disney trilogy actually happened. A lot of people want to kind of erase that, but uh, yeah, I'm excited for anything that they want to give me that's going to um, can either continue the story or maybe take it in a direction that maybe I wasn't expecting. Um, but the thing is that this new Jedi Order is actually, but that's a ripoff of the expanded universe books that they were saying aren't canon anymore, right? Because the
Mm.
new Jedi Order actually was a series that when Luke Skywalker was running the Jedi Academy, so they're actually kind of fast forwarding it a little bit. So we'll see.
No, yeah. Like, well, I mean, so we've got several academies out there. We got Strange Academy and Penguin Academy and all this other stuff. Did we need another academy? I don't know. I feel like there was a series out there with Star Wars that had an academy type feel, but the thing it was set during the High Republic though. So instead of doing that, they're doing this, which is kind of weird to me. I don't know.
There was, yeah, I believe that there was going to be a show called High Republic or something like that. that they announced last year at Star Wars Celebration, but there were a
Mhm.
lot of stuff that I think got folded and reinvented and pushed around. The Rangers show that they announced last year not happening anymore, because of uh, what we saw happen with what's her face from Boba Fett.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I kind of think that these big announcements, so many things change in between that they announce it and then you get a year later and okay, that's not happening anymore. And now, this High Republic that was going to be a show on Disney Plus has now been morphed into this Dawn of the Jedi that is now happening as a feature film. Um, we've seen that on the Marvel side too. So we've seen. Um, we've seen some things. We've seen Armor Wars go from a Disney Plus show to a feature film with Don Cheadle. I'm sure it's not the last time we see this.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
Did you want to take a break?
Yep.
Yeah, let's
Let's
take a
take a
break.
break and we'll come back and talk some comics. What are we watching? Let's do that. All right, make sure you check out Crisis in the Toyverse if you like toys. Bobo is awesome and runs a good show. All right, so let's get into some of the Marvel comics that's happening here. We've been talking almost every podcast about the Amazing Spider-Man and Zeb Wells and Romita Jr.'s stories, explaining what exactly has happened in the last 6 months that made Spidey on the outs with just about everybody in the Marvel Universe. And Lucas, can you catch us up on this book? You're on mute. There you
My
go.
apologies. My apologies. My apologies. The end of the Spider Verse Part 7, Spider-Man. Oh, excuse me, wrong book. The Amazing Spider-Man number 23, written by Wells, Romita Jr., also collaborating with Kaya and Maze. Um, Look, this is the one that I've been harping on. Like, hey, this is looking like, I mean, Spider-Man. They're trying to get their stuff together, and I love the build up. But now we're stuck in the, hey, this is going to be the issue where it gets all explained. And you know what got explained in this book? Absolutely freaking nothing. More of the same stuff. Heroes versus heroes for no reason. Nobody knows how to talk. Nobody. It's as if they talk a different language for some freaking reason.
Yep.
On site, they're like, "Hey, let's fucking throw punches. Let's throw each other in the freaking walls." Instead of like, "Hey, man, would you mind slowing down and let me hear it out from your point of view?"
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. They were doing so well. They were doing so well. They were like, "Oh, had me out. Like, oh, we're in a freaking different dimension. We're fighting this guy. Had me like, oh my goodness. Well, all right, we're getting some explanation, and it's fine to fight somebody on site just to kind of get a gouge of like how powerful they are, and for them, and then like, okay, the conversation that comes afterwards has a little bit more meaning because they don't have to talk to you because they're so powerful, right? That's from the villain side. But in his book, he doesn't fight any bad guys. He's fighting Cap and Regan and Fantastic Four guys, right? And they're throwing each other in the freaking walls.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. And then he goes to talk to Harry. Was that Harry?
Norman.
Norman. Yeah, excuse me, Norman. He goes to talk to Norman. Like, hey man, I need your help. Why? What's going on? You took you took everybody's $4, and don't forget the incentives that are out there to do this, to do absolutely nothing. This was a filler issue. What did you think, man?
So, I mean, yeah, I think it's just a long, drawn out explanation on what's happened. I'm sure we don't. I mean, we really don't know what's going on. We have Mary Jane trapped in another dimension with the god. Well, the god was cut in half to create this portal that threw Spidey back onto Earth. But other than that, it's like we still don't know what he did to earn the enmity of not only Mary Jane but the Fantastic Four and the rest. So, I mean, I know that the explanation is forthcoming. I just don't know if it's really going to live up to the hype. Some of the biggest gripes I had in this issue were not everybody knows who Spider-Man is anymore, and I'm pretty sure Captain America doesn't know that he's Peter, but he says hi Peter, and then they have this big fight, and he's fights him without the mask, and I'm just like, Cap had no idea who Peter Parker was, or that he was Spider-Man. The Fantastic Four, they knew, because I think he revealed it to them shortly thereafter, but after his identity got wiped from everybody's minds. But Cap never figured out who he was, or he was never told. So that was a big problem for me. The other things, the other thing, really, not really this issue, but the rumor going about that at the end of this storyline is going to be the death of a major character in the Spider-Man mythos, and that it's going to be Mary Jane. And to me, I mean, I know that Peter's supposed to be the ne'er-do-well hero, and that things are always supposed to go poorly for him. But I really kind of think, Mary Jane, or killing off Mary Jane, first of all, we know they're never actually going to kill her off, right? So even if she goes, she'll be back next year or the year after. They're not going to keep her dead. She's got way too many fans, and they've already killed off Gwen 50 years ago. They can't keep continuing to kill the people that are closest to him. Other than that, I love Romita Jr.'s art. Wells's writing is good. It's just, the build up, that I can't see the payoff that is going to live up to the hype. And I really hope the payoff is going to be they're going to kill off Mary Jane, but I don't see it's going to be for nothing, I think, because it's not going to be a great ending to this lackluster story, I think. So that's what
it was a unfortunate hiccup in Zeb Wells's run. Look, the art from was it done by John Romita?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the art was good except for this cover. I forget. This, yeah, Jr. did this
Yeah.
art. It's terrible. I mean, Spider-Man looks okay, but if you look at like Sue and the other folks, they look terrible. But man, it was just it's very frustrating because they were doing so well, actually getting me in, and it was like, oh, wait till next issue. Okay, you got me, But now I was like, oh my goodness. So
Yeah, we're 23
there's
issues into this run, and we still don't know. I'm sure we got 2 issues left. I'm sure it's wrapped up in 25. With probably a double-sized anniversary issue that's going to be $8.99 or something like that. So
yeah. So basically, this was not an issue that they needed that you need to pick up if save your money.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
I guess wait till the next issue when they actually reveal what the heck is going on. So we'll see. All right, so let's jump to our next review. That's going to be the 4th issue of the Scarlet Witch. We'll give credit where credit's due. Steve Orlando writing, art by Sarah Pichelli, inks by Elisabetta D'Amico, colors by Matthew Wilson, letters by Corey Pettit. If you don't like it, blame the editors, Caitlin Lindvet and Alana Smith and Will Moss. So there's actually 3 editors on this book. So is that a case of too many people stirring the pot? Perhaps, but in fact, I actually think there's 3 people not doing their jobs. Um, so the best thing about this book, and now we're in issue 4 of Scarlet Witch. The best thing really is bringing in the original Disney Plus or Marvel Universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe character Darcy Lewis into
Mm.
the Marvel Universe proper. Um, though, I mean, you could kind of see this issue and not really understand that that's supposed to be her. But Darcy Lewis, bringing her in as the Scarlet Witch's kind of sidekick. Um, I liked it. That's the, like I said, best part of this book. But she's actually the linchpin to the plot of this story. So Darcy Lewis actually came through this door in Scarlet Witch's shop called the Last Door. It's a portal that appears only to those with nowhere else left to turn. And she's actually running from this book, this group called the Buckeye, and the leader Scythia has come through and has attacked Darcy and is looking for vengeance. And this book really just kind of explains what the heck Darcy did, which kind of half explained because I'm sure it's from the villain's point of view. So we'll find out what actually happened in next issue when Darcy gets a chance to explain her side of things. But supposedly, Darcy Lewis conned her way into the Buckeye and was recruited by them, and then within weeks of being among them, had killed one of the Buckeye, and now has earned the enmity of the leader, and that is why she comes and attacks the Scarlet Witch, or attacks Darcy. And Scarlet Witch is trying to prevent her from being taken. Now, I'm going to get into the bad parts of this book. First, I want to just say the art, the Pichelli is really, really good. So the art, the colors, everything in this book, I think is beautiful. The explanations or the power set that Wanda has is, I see, this is the thing. I just don't think anybody really knows how Wanda's powers work. And back in my day, Scarlet Witch's powers were probability altering hexes, and they were unpredictable. And so she cast it. She never knew really what was going to happen, but it always happened that it was something that in her favor either stopped the bad guys or made something happen that got her out of whatever predicament she was in, or helped at some point. Here, she basically is a god. She can create things out of nothing. She can make things happen. She's here. She's opening teleportation portals. She is creating or recreating her store that got burned down. She just recreates it, but she just rebuilds it. It's done. But then also 2 pages later, she destroys a falling building, teleporting everybody that has come out of the building, turns the whole building and everything in it into leaves. And then she says, I can't replace what you lost, even though she just absolutely replaced her entire building and everything in it. So, and then she creates, she puts a little thing in everybody's hands that she saved and says, I can't replace everything you lost, but if the next thing you do with these hands is buy a lottery ticket, you'll win. I'm like, what? I'm like, so you can make it so that their hands can buy a winning lottery ticket. You can rebuild your building, but you can't rebuild their building. And so to me, I'm just like, well, she can either do absolutely anything that she can think of, or she can't. So which is it? So that's the thing that I'm a little irritated about. She feels so overpowered that it really takes me out of the book. Other than an enjoyable read, and like I said, I love the Darcy Lewis character. I think she should have her own book. But they just don't know. They just don't know what her power set is, what her limitations are. It's like she got a power up for no reason other than to explain the writing, right? So
Yeah.
you don't have to write yourself into a corner if you have somebody that can do absolutely anything. But there are just some gaping holes in her power set that there's just no explanation for. I know that, when they did House of M and she did the No More Mutants thing. I
Yeah.
mean, that's like kind of like a godlike. She restructured reality. She's not supposed to have those kind of abilities anymore. That's it's just plot armor, I think.
Yeah.
But
But here we are, man. We got a normal human witch going against Hippolyta, who daughter of Scythia, who's supposed to be a god. So that's just weird.
she
Um,
is she is she a mutant again, or is she not a mutant?
who knows?
Because I know that they said she wasn't a
She
mutant, but then she is
she yeah
because
her father is a mutant, therefore she has a mutant gene. So they can't just take the mutant gene out of you, can they? I don't think that's
well
how it
they
works.
did they establish that Magneto wasn't her father or is her father? I know that it's really kind of depends on who's writing her, um, what story that you get. So
Kevin Feige
she's
needs to fix this stuff.
it's confusing. Well, that's so we talked about or we talked about Marvel getting wrapped into Disney. Does that mean that we're going to start seeing the MCU reflective in continuity on the comic side? Are they going to reboot, and we're going to get the original Avengers had Black Widow in it? And
hopefully,
you think?
hopefully, hopefully, like, because I'm tired of this stuff being all over the place, right? Um, have the MCU as the guide, and then all the books should either follow it or just be um, either an introduction of the stuff that we're going to see in the MCU or an add-on where it kind of fills out the details that we didn't even think about. Vices, we get all these storylines that are all over the place, and then I'm getting confused because in this Spider-Man book this is happening, in this Spider book there's something else happening.
Mm,
Uh, they need to slow it down for a little bit because I'm over here eating crayons and then I'm looking for my coloring book, and then there's a whole ton of stuff, all bunch of stuff going on. I'm like, I guess I didn't miss anything. I go back to coloring outside the freaking lines. This is their fault, right? Because just like you mentioned, is she mutant? Is she not a mutant? Does she get the power, or does she got not to get the power? I thought she got killed off, right? Wasn't there the whole murder mystery about freaking her being killed off? I guess something
yeah, but I
happened
mean,
in
she
between there.
came back by the end of that, so there was a question
How?
that in
Because
the X.
they supposedly killed off and destroyed all the little DNA that was supposed to be used by the six or the four or whatever. That was supposed to be the big thing.
Yeah,
I don't understand what's going on. I don't. I
it,
love Scarlet Witch as a character, and the fact that there's this character who has gone through a lot of pain and strife, but they've gone away from that. Now she's this overpowered character, and she's what is her role? Is she a mother protector? Is she supposed to be the like a Doctor Strange character where she's like the the one above all when it comes to freaking wizards and wizards or something like that?
well,
Like
it's
I don't understand anymore.
for me, it's when I read this book, it's like this person had either everything he knows about Scarlet Witch he learned from the MCU. Like I don't know if like have you ever did you ever read any of the important Scarlet Witch stories, like like in the Avengers or West Coast Avengers or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Or any of her any of her big storylines or big appearances or her where they kind of had a handle on her power set, and you know even 30 years ago when she went through her crisis in West Coast Avengers and her power set John Byrne like blew up her power set then, um, it still was not to this level, you know. So
But it is an easy thing to depower her, and they already figured it out m- with Doc Strange, right? And unfortunately, they're back to the BS with Doc Strange as well. They
mhm,
figured out, like, hey, magic has a cost, right? So,
yeah,
okay, once you spend up that cost, you can't freaking just, just start conjuring magic, world type changing magic again. You got to build up your credit again, right? So most of the story of the Scarlet Witch, this first, at least the first 10, should her being, like, hey, there's a situation that's going on, they need her help, so it should be her building up enough magic to actually help out. But from off the jump, I don't guess what's going on. Darcy, right? She's kind of low powered. She's a magician, but she's low powered. So, like you said, there should be a Darcy book, but it should be Darcy's route or her path towards becoming a more powerful witch or magician or wizard or whatever, you know. But maybe I'm just, I don't know.
well, we'll see.
I don't know. Maybe
I
I'm just
just
restless.
I want someone to actually, get me the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. They get a brand new Scarlet Witch entry and just explain to me what she can do and what she can't do, and then I'll be happy to go from there.
You know,
Um,
they do those though every once in a while. Like there's those books called the Mystical Arcanas, right? And they'll put, okay, this is where this person is from. This is what type of magic they can do, and it'll be like a one pager, and then that's it, and it doesn't explain anything. It
right.
doesn't explain anything. So maybe I think what you're onto something that's actually genius, right? They should have um slow it down, and then you know how they have those annuals, right? Maybe
Yeah.
just have manuals, right?
There we go.
Where you go back into and you go explain like what is their power set, how does it work, where do they fit, right?
Hmm.
How do you know when they're overpowered, how do you know when they're lower powered, right? What's their goals, what are they working towards, what are their weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
um Stuff like that, like chaos magic, okay, there's different types of magic and one of them is chaos magic, okay, great. Tell me how it works, right?
Hmm.
I don't You don't need reading full panels, just just give me a little freaking book. But
Yep.
I don't
That's
know.
what I kind of think the writers these days don't know what their characters can do before they can say, "Oh, yeah, no, I'm writing her. She can do this because I'm writing her because I say
Right.
so." And
Right.
that,
And then if you're going to change it, guess what? You got a full year to write another manual and then put out
Mhm.
what, well, it changed because of this. Or
Yeah,
if you don't want to explain why it changed, fine. At least just put out a manual.
yeah, it'd be like, okay, well, she leveled up because of that. So,
That's what annuals should be. Instead,
yeah,
we just get garbage. They just don't have the same feeling and gravitas. Like, I got to get this annual to me. I
yeah,
don't know.
I get it.
Maybe.
All right, so let's talk briefly about, yeah. Okay, this was the big book. Stan Slott's been shilling this on Twitter for the last week or two. This is the end of the Spider Verse, so it's the final part of that storyline, but it's also the first appearance of a new character called Spider Boy.
Yes.
And this is
This
sold
was
out, right? This is sold out on all the retail outlets. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So this one, and to include this spoiler, unfortunately, I didn't bring it up, but I'll give me about 5 seconds and I'll bring it up. But so Dan Slott. So here's what happened. Dan Slott, maybe about a month and a half ago, put out something like, "Hey, there's going to be something big in Spider-Man number 7, and then you're going to want to get the Ramos spoiler." And then FOC went, and all we had was like this really vicarious blank freaking thing. And then maybe I want to say like a week ago, maybe Saturday, that's when the art, or it was either Friday or Saturday, that's when the art got released, and then everybody went crazy. People had already been going crazy, right? Because they were speculating, but they went crazy because it went from, I want to say $4 to $5 till it's like $30 now for this
Really?
freaking cover.
Yeah.
Right. So if you see this on your freaking shelves, go ahead and freaking pick it up. Don't buy those crazy prices because I want to say that there's probably going to be 100,000 copies that's going to be printed. So don't go crazy. Just give it a little bit. Just give it a little while, and then you'll see that this shit's gonna go. This is just gonna drop. So the context of everything is that they were the Spider Verse folks were fighting against the Wasp verse folks. Wasp verse folks were killing people off. I mean, they went way back into Spider Verse history to do this thing. So they get Peter Parker to build this thing, and while he's building this thing, the Spider Verse people are being able to fight back or something like that. And then they fight the big Wasp Queen. They kill the Wasp Queen, and then they bring some of the Spider people that were killed off back. And one of those people was Spider Boy, and everybody's looking at him and like, "Hey, who are you?" He was like, "What are you talking about? I've been here since beginning. Beginning. My name is Bailey." And he was like, we've never heard of you before. So now the speculation mystery is going to be who is this kid?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had shout out to Ultramaximus. He said, hey, maybe this kid is Spider that bit Peter Parker and Silk, but he mutated into a human being. I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know, but he seems to think that he's always been there since 616. I mean, he's from 616, and he
Yeah.
seems to think that he's always been there. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to go on with that. What did you think, Professor?
Uh, I feel like I read this back when it was the Sentry. I mean, we got the Sentry about 20 years ago, and he was retroactively plugged into the Marvel Universe. It was just that everybody's mind was wiped, so no one remembered that he existed. So we were supposed to just say, oh, okay, so now we're going to have to get used to a lot of these retconning storylines where Spider Boy is going to plug himself into probably the biggest storylines that Spider-Man had in the last 60 years, and just have him play an integral part of the storyline. However, we never read that because our minds were wiped because we didn't know.
Mm,
So apparently, so it was Moreland. If you remember, Moreland was going around killing all the Spider characters, and
yes, yeah,
and feeding off of their energies. And then this last issue, the when they restored the web, um, all of the spider people that Moreland had eaten, the energies came out, and all these characters were restored. And then apparently, so Spider Boy was one of these characters. Now, the one thing that I'm wondering about is why did people just not remember Spider Boy? They said is that he's been gone too long, so their memories were irreversibly lost or something like that. But all the other characters that came back, they kind of remembered, right? So
hmm,
that included our Peter Parker, um, Spider Woman, and all the characters that faded into nothingness during this whole 6 issue storyline. The only thing that I just don't know going forward. I mean, there are so many Spider characters already. Like, I'm was I on board for a new one? I wasn't. I wasn't. I was championing uh, getting rid of it a little bit. All these different Spider characters I have no use for. So this is definitely a character that's not aimed at me. I don't know if I'm going to be. Well, of course, I'm going to be reading any kind of a book that has him in it because of the podcast. But
yeah. I thought we already had a Spider Boy, and his name was Miles Morales. I don't, I don't
oh no,
understand.
he's Spider Man. This is Spider Boy, and apparently he's like a Robin aged sidekick character. So
Jeez.
yeah.
Yeah, pass.
Well, then I'm sitting there going, okay, his name is Bailey, and I'm sitting there going, okay, can I kind of figure out, is this like a what kind of ties does he have to anybody else? And I'm like, who's Bailey?
Right.
It's like, is there any clues just in the name? I don't
Not
know.
yet.
Yeah, not yet. So, well, we'll see. I'm not interested, but whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Number one book. I myself sold 300 copies of this book.
really?
Yeah, through eBay, not through the shop, through eBay. So it was a bitch and a
So,
half packing books this week.
well, I mean, so the speculators are out in full force for this then.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Without even having read it. So it is what it is. All right, so we let's go with. Are we ready for a 2 minute warning or
Yes.
10 minutes? All right.
2 minute warning. Let's go.
Uh, all right. On FOC this week, you've got the new Avengers #1. I forget which title this is actually attached to, but this is a homage to the Dark Avengers title. This one is the one on 100 for the black and white. Then there's your Daredevil #11, some true action.
I don't
I
like
don't
that
know.
cover.
I know she looks full of Greek to me.
No,
Well,
she doesn't.
if, yeah, I'm not gonna talk about body types, but she looks full Greek and Italian to me. That looks like a Tasha Badoshos, Badonkadunk to me. All right. There's your Star Wars High Republic 1 in 25 or Zoo, trying to use white spacing. There's your Edge of the Venomverse 1 in 25. There's your Silk. I believe this is Silk.
It's the same artist for the Electra cover. Yeah, that's Silk.
And
I like that one better.
yep, and then there's your Momoko 1 in 100. Not through Marvel or through Penguin. This one is through Dynamite, Maleficent. Okay.
Okay,
Um, Pretty good looking cover. Um, this one is Rogue and Gambit by Jeff DeCall.
I like that cover.
The reason why I like this cover is because Rogue and Gambit are supposed to be from the South, and they actually look like they're from the South in this one. Their faces just scream Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana to me.
Hmm.
Okay. Invisible Iron Man. This one's an incentive. Then there's your Invincible Iron Man #6 Spider-Verse variant. Riri. And then there's your 1 in 50 Rose Beige.
Who? Oh, who?
Rose Beige. Rose Beige has been an up and coming artist. She does some absolutely fantastic work. This is not her best work, but the fact that Invisible Iron Man has not been selling very well, plus she's a popular artist, makes this could be something. Plus, it was kind of released. The art was kind of released kind of late. So
Who
I don't
is
think a
that
lot.
though? Is that Dazzler or
Yeah, it looks like Dazzler. Why is Dazzler
why?
on an Iron Man book?
Yeah.
You're asking the wrong dude. You're,
Okay.
you know,
It's just weird ass
yeah. I
covers.
mean, there was all types of Spider Verse books, and I forget what the name. What are they calling them? Spider books of characters dressed as spiders on books that they're not even in. So Marvel's going to do what Marvel's going to do.
Yeah. Weird.
Planet of the Apes, #2. This one is an e-gist.
Oh, I like the first issue that came out this week. That was not bad.
Was it pretty good? Okay.
Yeah, I liked it.
Star Wars Jabba's Place, #1. Alex Maleev.
Yeah, that I think I read the first issue of that already, didn't I? I think.
Hmm. Yeah.
Is this just a variant?
This is
Oh,
a
okay.
second print. Yep.
Yeah, that book sucked. Anyway,
This is the stuff that's coming out this week, next Wednesday. Marvel Voices Spider-Man versus #1 that John Jing. There's a 150 for this one. You got to be careful because even though people do love the covers, this is I gotta see because some of these Marvel Voices books, the Spider-Man books, the paper has been like really cheap.
really?
Yeah. So for instance, The Spider-Man book that 7 that was just talking about with Spider-Boy on there. The problem is that the paper is really toilet paper thin and cheap.
Hmm.
Um, so there's going to be a lot of. So I got a lot of damages, even though I sold a lot. There were a lot of damages, a lot of not just bent corners. I'm talking about crumbled corners. So
Crumbled.
yeah, crumbled. So I suspect that'll be the same thing with this one as well.
Huh.
Uh, there's the India Lee version. I still don't know the names of these characters that are on there,
They
but
just
people, right?
yeah. This
Yes.
thing. I mean, it's a show. Of course, it's a showcase for young writers and artists, but it's just an excuse for them to just create more versions of these just watered down brand. Uh, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. And the problem is that all these characters are the ones that are going to appear on Disney Plus, you know,
Mm,
and then make the creators, even though they wrote one 8-page story, make more money than the creators from the 70s in this one spot.
yeah. Yeah. Um. Here we go. There's the Hella Alex Ross 1/100. Here's your Bloodline daughter of Blade Stephanie Hans.
Yeah.
This one has got some really good numbers, and I don't know why. Fantastic Four #1 Alex Ross. The art is okay, but it's not. It's not. I see no reason why it's got the numbers that it's been having.
Did you say
Uh,
this is number one?
Excuse me. Is this #1? Probably not #1.
No, this is this the new issue
I forget
coming
which
out?
one this one is.
It's like number 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
But this book, the covers are great. The book stinks.
There's your Nihilus, Alex Ross, 1/100. Big Daddy, Alex Ross.
And that guy earns his money.
Yeah. He must be trying to build a mansion on a hill, man. There's your Predator #2, variant edition, Ryan Brown.
He sells his original art on his website, and it's like $20,000 a piece.
Well, maybe if we cobbled together some couch cushion money, maybe we could get some.
Someday, someday I'm gonna have an original Alex Ross in my basement, just hanging on the wall for people to say, "Is that a real Alex Ross?" And I'm gonna say, "Yes, it is."
So let me rush through this because I do have a text tip. Star Wars High Republic #8.
A tax tip. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Rush through this. I want to hear it.
Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants #3.
Storyline
Storm
stinks.
arc. Jung Yoon X-23 Deadly Regenesis.
Pass.
Scotty Young. Baron Zemo 1/100. Star Wars Ewoks. I forget. I think this is by Brown. Yep, that's by Brown. Let me sure I hide these. All right. Then here's your Peach Momoko,
Hmm.
your X-Men facsimile.
How are those selling? The facsimile issues.
They do ridiculously well. I don't get it. People are still buying the crap out of those.
Huh.
I don't like selling them, but people love buying them. Carnage #12, 1/10. There's that 1/100. This one is really great. The Doctor Doom 1/100 by Alex Ross. Then there's your Guardians of the Galaxy, looking thick as ever.
Yeah. That's from that Electra artist from the first one you showed.
Yeah. And then this one is the I think this one, yeah, this is 1/50. From Dynamite, there's Scar as part of the villains one shot. And then lastly, this is your Spider Gwen #1 second print 1/25. All right, let me set this up. Uh-oh. Unhide slide. Let's go to 23. All right. So, Professor, have you done your taxes yet?
I have someone doing them for me. Yes.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. Well, did you know that if you sold a comic book and you had to sell it at a loss, that you can deduct it from your taxes?
Yeah, it's an investment loss. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, topic 409 from the IRS. People keep saying, "Oh, you got to say that you're not affiliated with the IRS." Actually, I did work for IRS back in the day, and I do not have to say it because we're going straight from the IRS freaking website. They talked about collectibles are considered alternative investments. Normally, if you hold on to that investment for more than a year, you're going to be taxed at the gains tax for 28%. But if you sell it before then, you're going to be selling at the regular income tax rate of 15 to 16%. Special considerations: sell a collectible in less than 1 year means you are taxed at the ordinary income. Blah blah blah. Now, you will not be able to claim a cap loss if you use the collectible for personal use, such as hanging a painting on a wall in your home, as opposed to keeping it in storage, or just putting on your. However, if you like put it on your website for sale and you have a record of when you put it up for sale, that kind of counts as not having it for personal use. That counts as putting it out there. However, limited limitations on deductions. Limitation on deductions. You can only um, take off $3,000 per year when it comes to those deductions. Right now, if you actually had more losses on that, sometimes you could actually carry over that loss to the very next year, which is really great.
Until it's depleted. So let's say if you
Yes.
lost 21,000 on a on an investment, you can claim 3,000 a year for 7 years.
Yes. Yes. Now, the tip that I would say for people is, say you bought a new comic book, right? And brand new out the door. And the regular price for that comic book is say 5.99. You ended up selling it for 3.99, right? But you bought it for $2.50, $3, whatever, right? You can still claim that capital gains loss because you are taking the loss off of the cost basis, which is the cover price for that. So you can take that off. So for instance, where you would want to do that is like, hey, you sold like a box full of that and you had a record of which ones you actually sold, and the cover price for each of those is like $4. You sold 100, right? It really only costs you maybe 50 or 60 bucks. You want to freaking take the deduction off that freaking off that loss. But you got to have really good records off of what you had, what you sold, and what the actual cover base value of that stuff was. And that's the tip of the day.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not wanting to jump down the rabbit hole or anything, but I mean, how many people are selling their comics and reporting that they had a gain? I mean,
Well,
they
so
they're gonna
right,
have to audit you and say where did all this income come from? So
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah. So
interesting.
yeah, eBay and Shopify and PayPal, they report what you sold anyway, right? So what you got to do is you got to make sure that the actual cost basis is prominent. Like if you got pictures of what you sold, and then when they come back to you say, "Hey, you sold it for this much, you owe us money," you're like, "Oh, well, yeah, but what it actually costs, well, actually what it should have cost or the value was this, and you get to deduct that."
Interesting. I just don't know how that they can actually keep track of some of that stuff because what you pay for comics can be super nebulous, right? I mean, the
Yep.
stuff I've had in my collection for 40 or 50 years um, didn't cost me that much when I bought it, but if I
Right.
sell it, it costs more than that. So what's to stop me from saying, oh, I just bought this last year for $50 and I sold it for 60, so I only have to report 10 as
Right.
opposed
So,
to
well, like you said, you held on it. You had it in there for like 40 years, which means you would be taxed at a capital gains rate at
yeah,
28%.
but what I'm saying is, how do they know? How do they know I've had it for 50 years?
Well, that's when it comes down to good record keeping.
I don't have any records for my comics. Are you
Yeah,
kidding
you
me?
gotta have good. Yeah, you gotta have good records, right? In order to do these capital gains laws, you gotta have good records. You can't just like, oh, I had it in my possession, because then it becomes like a real weird trafficking issue. They're like, well, we don't know what you got. You're gonna they can do an audit on you and say, hey, where's your books on this and everything. So it's better just to have a record of when you bought it, which is why I know people down on eBay, but it's actually pretty good because in some instances you can track when you bought it and when you sold it. It's a good record for that
That's interesting. I'd love to. We could spend a whole hour talking about this stuff. I'm kind of mad that you waited until we were over time already to start talking about this. So,
stuff.
yeah, all right. So, well, next time we talk, it'll be right. It'll be tax day. So, let's talk about more about that next time. But anyway,
Absolutely.
thanks for joining us on No Prize Podcast this week. Make sure to join us next episode. I'm sure we're going to be talking about the in imminent release of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So until then, thank you and stay safe. We'll see you soon.